In this second section, we will go through the sample story. Okay, let's start with paragraph 1 in the introduction, whereby we get a sense of who the main character is, where the main character is, and what the main character is doing. Amy scrutinized her reflection in the mirror with a sense of satisfaction. She could hear the thunderous applause of the audience. The audience obviously liked the choir's performance. Amy got into line, trying to swallow the lump of nervousness in her throat as she waited for the cue from the stage manager. Her item was up next. Soon, Amy could hear the pattering feet of the choir members who were exiting the stage briskly. Amy caught sight of a figure in the blue and white uniform. For a moment, her mood soured. It was Kate. Amy and Kate were the best of friends since they were in primary 1. However, since Amy joined the Chinese dance troupe, they had drifted apart. The final rift took place when Amy quit the choir in order to focus solely on Chinese dance. They had been like strangers ever since. Amy was roused from her reverie by the stage manager's prompting. In darkness, the troupe of dancers ran to take their place on stage. Amy's heart pounded rapidly, and she took a deep breath to calm herself. The curtains opened and traditional music filled the air. Let's change it to the curtains opened and traditional Chinese music filled the air. There was no time for panic. Amy poured all her concentration into the dance, giving her absolute attention to the steps and music. Unbeknownst to her, the swath of cloth that she was twirling had slithered between her legs, entangling them. She stepped on it, tripped, and fell flat on her face. For a moment, there was a stunned silence. Then someone sniggered. In the next instant, the whole audience erupted into laughter. Chuckles, guffers, and giggles filled the auditorium. Amy could feel her face burning like a fire. She knew her face must be as red as a beetroot. How she wished a hole would open up in the ground and swallow her up. Plastering a plastic smile on her face, she forced herself to stand up and continue with the performance. Okay, last 2 paragraphs. Amy danced for what seemed like an eternity. When the performance finally ended and the curtains were drawn, she fled, or you could say she made a dash for the dressing room. There, she flung herself into a corner, buried her face in her hands, and cried her eyes out. None of her dance mates came over to console her. Amy knew from the stony glances they had cast her during the performance that they were angry with her for marring their item. Okay, I will repeat. Amy knew from the stony glances they had cast at her during the performance that they were angry with her for marring their item. Or you can actually say for marring the Chinese dance item. Either is fine. Amy had never felt so alone and miserable. Last paragraph. In the midst of her sobs, she felt a gentle pat on her shoulder. Amy raised her tear-stained face. It was Kate. It only struck her at that moment who her true friend was. Kate was angry with her for betraying the choir, but when she needed a shoulder to cry on, Kate had taken the first step to mend their broken friendship. Amy smiled weakly. Perhaps there was a perhaps there was a silver lining to the horrendous public humiliation after all. Okay, that's the whole story, and I hope you got it. If not, you can always stop, go back, and play again.